Kanab drugstore. I was born right there. In an
Oh,
old,
really?
In an old frame house in 1923. Born and raised right there. Yeah. Then grew up there, went to school here. I married a local girl that was born in the north end of town. About the last house going out of town up here. And her father had died when she's just about 12 years old, 8 years old. And then her mother and her sisters got the telephone. Those days you had to plug in when you were on the phone, you know, you had to plug in the number, say number please. So anyway, that's what she did, and we both went to school here. We was high school sweethearts.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Married 71 years, right, Grandpa?
Yeah, 72.
72.
Yeah, we was together 72 years. Yeah.
Carolyn, you should come sit over here.
So then,
Okay.
you know, I don't know what part you want to.
So, where did your family come here?
My family?
Yeah.
Well,
Who were the first ones here?
they're settlers of out here east of here, about 16 miles. My great-great-granddad settled what they call Johnson Canyon.
Oh.
Him and his boys, and they named it after him. It's Johnson Canyon. That was a town
Wow.
before Kanab was. They had to go through there to come into Kanab. There's no road down this way. So that's and so we're from the old pioneer stock that originated the settlement of this area. Yeah. But and then there's one. All the ranches had all been sold except there's one. He's my second cousin. He's 2 years older than I am, and he still lives on the farm that his great-granddad homesteaded. So that's the only one in the family that's left. The rest sold out and moved out. And my folks moved into Kanab here. And then they started the business. They built where the drugstore is and all that. During the Depression time, they started that business down there. That's where we grew up, where I grew up.
So, during the Depression, what did they do?
During the Depression?
Yeah.
During the Depression is when everything went broke. The banks went broke.
Yep.
And we had a terrible drought, and the livestock, everyone just lost. The only, the main thing is that they could raise enough to eat and had their milk cows. So that's how they survived through the Depression. And it lasted about 5 years. And it was, it come in about 1819, through there.
And tell her what your parents did during the Depression, Grandpa, to get through it.
My parents was my dad was they were in the goat business. There's a lot of goats in this country at that time. The Angora goats that had long hair, and so they'd shear those goats and make mohair, just like you have wool from the sheep. But the mohair didn't itch you like wool does, so then during the Depression, when everything went broke and the government come in and paid everybody 25 cents a head for their goats, and they killed the goats.
Oh.
And they killed a lot of cattle. There was what they called a goat fever. They didn't have any vaccination for it, and so they killed the goats off, and the cattle had what they called brucellosis, and that's kind of a venereal disease among cattle. So anyway, they killed. I drove 10 head of cows down here. They paid us $10 a piece. Shot the cows. So
Oh.
then my folks had that corner had a quarter of the block had quite a lot of big land there, and so my dad he built a pool hall, and then my mother built a cafe, and it was called the Bluebird Cafe. And they charged 10 cents a hamburger, and she made it out of homemade bread. You know, your hamburgers today are not like the ones she made then for 10 cents. And then they built some cabins in the back. This is over a few years' time, and they charged 25 cents a night to stay in the cabin. In those days there wasn't any tourists hardly see. But what we had is, those days they called them the jobbers, and they were the salesmen that would come in to sell to the stores, and they'd always come on Wednesday and stay overnight. And so they'd stay there in the cabins for 25 cents a night, and that's just how they worked through the Depression.
Grandpa, the Bluebird Cafe was where the Canyon Bookstore is now.
You want to show her where the